I am back on the line, Doc.
You're
I
back?
have my
Okay.
cards. I'm back. I got my cards. I'm going to settle in here and get a nice cozy place to read. But you know, a point that I was making before I jumped off there that I want to come back to, that I really want to emphasize. A brother taught me that the devil is deceptive intelligence. You could say, yes, I broke down the word devil. When he says deceptive intelligence. And when you think about that, what is intelligence? But intelligence is the ability to reason something, to think through on a point, to draw conclusions from things, right? To observe something and use that to make another thing true. And when we do that deceptively, that's when we fool ourselves with demons. Basically, that's a demon riding you. That's a key way to identify that, hey, this is something else. This is not me, because it's tricking me. This is deceptive intelligence. Versus our individual intelligences are these, rational, perfect, I don't know, even imperfect things that are meant to benefit us. When we're justifying harming ourselves, when we're justifying doing something against our best interest. And it could be anything from overeating to binge watching Netflix, to sex addiction, to drug addiction.
Hey! Now, don't be talking about my Netflix demon. Now, you leave him out of this.
Listen, that Netflix demon. Let me talk to you about that, Doc. I've seen it take people down. But it could be, it could be anything, and all those things. You talk about the 7 deadly sins. That common portrayal. That's close to what we're getting at here. We can get something like these just imbalanced interactions between our bodies and the world. It's almost always something of the body. Very seldom. I mean, a demon can torment the soul, but that's not these very common window jumper in type ones. Right? As we see them manifest so much as an affliction of the body, even when it's psychological, it becomes a way for the body. It's part of the psyche driving the body. When we see it in compulsive behavior, when we see it in self-harm behavior, even, right? Like it's coming on the body. It's always manifesting in the physical. Now, when we think of positive reasoning, it typically elevates. We see something in the physical and we elevate that to the mental. It's the other way around. And so it's just one way that we can see, we can observe and sort of identify and say, hey, wait a second. That's not me. That's something else.
Yes, I think that's so necessary, is to detach, to identify, to expose it as something separate, that is an intruder, it is encroaching, it is trespassing, etc., and must therefore be evicted. You are a squatter on territory.
That is the classical Jewish exorcism. It is the notice of eviction, a written notice of eviction, delivered one way or another. I have my whole bag of books here so I can reference them, but I know we're getting into readings, and I also have my card here now. But yes, that is very much the rationale, that you're commanding that demon and saying, listen, you have no portion in this, according to Scripture, which you're also subject to, according to my dignity and my power. You have no portion in this. This is not for you. This is not yours. You have no jurisdiction here. You have no right to be here, and therefore I command you in the name of God, out.
Absolutely. We had a question here, Moses, and it says, what about removing a demon of misfortune from someone else's life without their knowledge? I got a friend that ran into a hard time with money, health, mental health. He's depressed because he's unable to get on his feet no matter what.
Well, we're not going to get into ethics on this because I don't mind tricky working, as you know, Doc. I mean, look, it's as simple as you can light a candle and pray on their behalf. If it's someone that you don't expect will be receptive to the reality that this is demonic, right? If they're going to reject that idea and therefore reject your health, and you really got to be tricky. That can get that can get real tricky. I guess we could talk about that, Doc. But I think if it's a situation where someone just doesn't know how to help themselves, if you could say this is for good luck, right? That's sort of the easiest way to be tricky with these things, and that's really the way. If someone's been having hard times, they're not particularly spiritual, they're not particularly, and I'm not trying to cause them any alarm or anything of that nature. I'll just say, hey, this is something for good luck. And you can prepare a parchment amulet with Psalms 91 on it. Just take a piece of parchment and write out that amulet and give it to them, and you just say it's for good luck. That's something that people will typically receive graciously, and not be offended by, no matter how secular or atheist or whatever they may be. If you really got to be tricky, well, I want to get Doc's opinion here, and I'm going to shuffle my cards and let the man speak on his own show.
No, you're quite all right. I was gonna say is that fundamentally, what I found is that when it comes to deliverance, renunciation is so powerful. Renunciation breaks the legal hold the spirit has for being there. It revokes the legal access. And so here's the thing. Unless I own the property, I can't evict you from another person's property. Right? I'm going to, I can help them, I can assist them, I can call law enforcement, I can get them to, write the eviction notice, whatever the case may be. But that owner of that property, all right, must renunciate, all right, that squat, all right. Now, I'm not giving, it has to be done X, Y, or Z in this particular format, but they have to have within themselves a resolve. I don't want this. It's got to go. Now, if they at least come with that, we can run a mile with it. All right. But if it has not yet, I'm gonna be very honest with you. One of my favorite deliverance ministers is Derek Prince. He's dead now. Derek Prince was trying to deal and talk about demons or whatever to the Christian world, and of course, you got all kinds of backfire. All right, primarily because most of them do not believe that Christians can have a demon. It's a whole other conversation, and so they would come to him, or he would go areas, and they would act like they would want help, but then when he would go to minister to them, he would have to deal with their theology, their philosophy, their worldview, their paradigm, their excuses, they're this, they're this, they're this, they're this. There's always something that was gatekeeping, all right, them being set free. And so what he said is, he says, come back. He says, if you have time to theorize, if you've got time to give me philosophy, theology, hermeneutics, eschatology, then clearly you are not desperate enough. He's saying deliverance is for the desperate. Come back when you're desperate. He would stop right there in the middle of ministry, because it's not going to benefit you in the long run. So fundamentally, that person must come to a point of desperation or point of resolve that they're going to renounce it. And then from there, okay, now we can talk about other forms to help them out with that. But from their venture point, they're going to need that.
Well, and we only covered that type of demon, so when we're talking about a bad luck demon and something like that, that is something that's even trickier than an addiction, because people think it's external to them, right? An addiction at least is something you're doing to yourself.
Right.
You can justify it and whatever. But when you have that oppression of bad luck riding you, there's that little imp riding your back, fucking everything up in your path. You don't know what's going on. You're not trying to do anything. You don't see what's causing it, and that makes it even more insidious and impish.
Yes. Very powerful.
So I got my cards shuffled up here, Doc. So if we got a question for divination,
Yeah. So if any of you guys want us to divine on something, look into something for you.
I got to cut you off right here, Doc. This is hilarious. This is in the process of shuffling. The devil card has now jumped out 4 times on this demon-themed show.
Oh, I'm sure.
So best believe they're listening. We got them woken up.
I'm sure. We rattle the cage. We start talking.
Yeah, we're rattling the cage a little bit here. Yes, exactly. But that's good. That's good. That's good.
All right. Let's see here. Okay. Let's Hello, caller.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Can you hear us?
We can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
Wonderful. What do you think of the show?
I love it. Very informative. Very informative.
Good. Glad you enjoyed it. Glad we're doing something right, Moses.
Yeah, we're hanging in there, Doc. We're hanging in there.
But how can we help you?
Okay, so I have a question. It's okay. So I have a strained relationship with my family, and it's a matter where family members are are being very disrespectful, phony acting, and things like that. And not really leading in love and stuff like that. Like, especially towards me, like my mom and my sister. They were the ringleaders of it at first, but now it's just like they have really changed the dynamics of my relationship with different family members, and I don't, really keeping. I really don't call as much as they do. I have other things in my life going on, so I really don't stay on the phone with family and things like that. But it's just like a lot of gossiping and things. And I was thinking that I could do like maybe a honey jar with bloodroot in it or something like that, to kind of get, the respect and things of that where it should be for us adults and things like that. But I wanted to know what you guys' input on something like that would be.
Very good question. Very good question. I like that she took the initiative. Moses, she's getting some ideas she want to work with.
I like that it's a honey jar. I like that we're willing to take that approach. We're not necessarily trying to dominate the situation or punish anybody. So I like that too.
Not yet, at least. We're gonna ease our way in there, Moses. We're gonna offer the olive branch first, and then the arrow of that one to work.
That's right.
Well, I would say it's so funny you bring this up because actually in my master class I just put a post up I think last week about stopping gossip. I think a honey jar is definitely one way to go. But most let me let you go first. I'll let my guests go first. That's just kind of let you go first.
Yeah, well, that's polite of you, Doc. You're old school. That's why I like you, man. Well, I'll say this. I think in a family situation, different in a workplace situation, stop gossip. That's a little more common even. In a family situation, it's deeper than stopping the gossip. It's reintegrating the family. So there's love work to be done alongside stop gossip work in this case. And it's not necessarily romantic love work, but it's true love work nonetheless. Some of the herbs I like to use, you could consider some of the peaceful home herbs in this process. So pennyroyal would be a common one. Rosemary would be an excellent one. Angelica root would be an excellent one for sort of bringing peace into this situation. A little bit of sweetness is not a bad thing. A little bit of clove would be appropriate, but I wouldn't get crazy. I wouldn't get crazy with the catnip or anything of that nature. But then in addition, I would add not really the strong stop gossip. We think of alum for stop gossip work, and that's something aggressive that I wouldn't necessarily use for a family member. I think of alum when I just don't want my name in their mouth. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't want them to mention me ever. Just don't mention me. That's like for a coworker, stop gossip. But for a family member, you want them to mention you. You just want them to mention you positively. So I would sort of avoid any of that heavier stop gossip and move more towards the friendship, love. Patchouli would be another excellent one to work with. Lavender, I would be remiss not to mention. Any sort of balm of tranquility, and we have a few recipes that go about would be totally appropriate as well. Chamomile, some people use it for money. I use it for calming. Would be another one. But getting the situation calm and building the warmth would be the approach I would take. There's certainly Psalms that you can pray as well. But also building that in those workings, right? And if it were, you could do honey jars, you could work figural candles, you could work skull candles. And that I probably the way I like to work is I would probably work skull candles on the key family members to warm them up and to kind of bring happiness. And really the majority of the work I would do before I ever burn those candles would be to just project into them warmth and happiness and good feelings and good regards. And all the things that I just don't have the time to communicate to them, or there's just no place to communicate, just so they know that it's a real connection and I really am part of the family. I really love them. That would be my approach. Doctor, please take it away.
Absolutely. I think you took a lot of them off the top of my head. I'll just give a couple of filling some of the gaps here. Lavender definitely, Angelica definitely. I would go. I saw that mostly a little bit with clove there. I would go calamus. Calamus is a mastery kind of botanical, but it's also sweet, or that's called sweet flag. So it's going to it's a very sweetening kind of coaxing more so than do as I say, right? Or else, right? So it's very good in this one. You want a little mastery in there, but you don't want it to be heavy handed, you don't want it to be aggressive, you don't want to be forceful, but it's a coddling, an invitation as a way to do as I've asked. So that's one thing I would say. Lavender again. I thought about Balm of Gilead. Came
Balm of
very
Gilead,
strongly
excellent. Yes.
to my spirit about this. Balm of Gilead definitely, and there's biblical references for that. Balm of Gilead is the also heart ease comes to my mind as well, which is a plant as well. Combine these together is going to help to soothe over, to heal. There may be some wounds in the family. That there may even be. I'm just going by the spirit. Some hidden offense in the family. Something that was done or said that did not have nefarious intention, but it was taken that way. And it was harbored, it was dealt with, it was not forgiven, and then it kind of began to sprout and root into this vitriol and this, gossip and slander, conjecture, whatever. Furthermore, I would say get a picture of the family together, maybe family reunion, or particularly you and those key troublemakers. And as Moses said, let that kind of be your altar space set up there. Put your honey jar in front of that, right? Burn your candles in front of that. And then lastly, and I guess I would say most importantly, invoke the ancestors. All right. They have um, they have a very direct relationship and a very direct investment on the well-being, the health of the family unit, right? And it coming together and staying together. And you can do that very simply uh, by a glass of water, a white candle, and putting their names under that glass of water or their pictures under that glass of water, and invoke tranquility over that matter.
So to invoke my ancestors, I will put the names on a piece of paper under the glass of water?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Very, 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 very simple. It doesn't have to be, overwhelmingly elaborate. You'll be surprised how quickly they move, particularly on these matters, right? Because they affect, the lion's share of the family. So this is definitely is under their aegis to protect, to guard, to arrange, adapt, do what they have to do to keep the family structure strong and intact. All
Okay.
right.
Okay. Yeah, that gives me a good sense of where to start. Thank you. I thank you both.
Not a problem. God
Yeah,
bless.
definitely.
All right.
And cause, I think, excellent recommendation on working with the ancestors. I think sometimes I look too closely at the problem and don't see the obvious answer, but indeed, your ancestors are through every member of the family who's descended from them. You are literally made of that ancestor, so they got a bit of influence. Also, licorice in that mix would not be bad alongside that calamus.
Very, very good. And you want different vantage points. Some are looking at it on the macros and looking on the micro. Somebody needs to look left, right, and center. We want the varying perspectives. That's why we have different guests on. That's why we get different perspectives on different subject matters, because nobody has it all, right? And somebody's going to have the missing piece. Somebody's going to be able to fill in the gaps. So we're going to go to our next caller here. Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi. It's me again. So I had kind of a similar question. Like I had a really messed up relationship with my mother-in-law. She has spreaded so many rumors about me. It then turned to like ostracizing me and my husband from his family, which he truly loves. Like he wants a relationship with these people.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants me to have a relationship, but his mother has tore that apart. She has been very vocal about her dislike for myself, and she's like she has tore these people don't want to speak to me. They don't want to engage with me. They don't really engage with my husband only if I'm not around. If I'm around, they won't engage with him at all. And so what I just recently did, I know that I don't even know. Well, I know when you do work, you're not supposed to tell people, but I haven't seen anything manifest from it yet. So I don't even know if I should say it. Should I say it or not?
What you do?
I did an ammonia jar to turn the situation around. And then I did a sweetening jar after the ammonia jar, because I know that the ammonia jar is only temporarily, like a temporary fix. So I wanted to keep the situation going. So I did a sugar jar, but I haven't heard anything from her. She hasn't contacted me. I don't know what, I don't even know what. Spirit hasn't even let me.
Let me say this, and then because I already see my students.
I know. You go ahead, Doc. Go ahead.
Because I can see my students in the corner of my eye side-eyeing me right now as I'm smirking in my face, because they know that anybody who's been with me for a long time know my opinions on the quote-unquote ammonia jar. Um, and this is not to cry anybody who does it or who have done it, whatever. Me myself personally, okay, as we say down here, me myself personally, okay, I don't put neither stock nor bond in the ammonia jar. That's me myself personally. Now, okay. That being said, we're gonna throw this over to Hoodoo Moses.
Well, hey, Doc. I'm gonna say I have a similar opinion on the ammonia jar, but I do know people who use them and say they work. So it is what it is. And so I want to ask first and foremost, what did you do with that ammonia jar when you started that sweetening jar?
I didn't do
Still
anything.
running it? Okay.
I still have the ammonia jar here at my house.
Okay, so that can definitely, you may be turning your work right now. You see, because you got the same name papers, I assume, in both those jars, or the situation's going to have that name. Yeah, so that's going to be you're going to want to finish that ammonia jar down before you start that sweetening jar, which is no problem. Sweetening works, especially jar work,
And
is slow
Moses,
work.
can you tell the audience, because you just used one of the terminology we use in the field. What do you mean by turning the work?
Well, so turning a work is basically reversing it backwards. It's reversing the polarity of the work. I often think of working as like a circuit, and if you think of one of those little motors, if you just flip the battery around, that thing runs backwards. So it's the same thing. You're just reversing the polarity, and that's what an ammonia jar is essentially used for, is to reverse the polarity of the situation suddenly, to shock it the other direction. That's the idea behind it. And so if you kind of have the polarity reversed and you kick up a new work, it could basically be running backwards. That little toy car is just rolling backwards. So you just got to turn the battery around, which means ammonia jar. I would just, my favorite thing to do with jars like that, excuse me, is poke holes in the lid. I don't even like removing the lid. Poke a hole in the lid, toss in a moving body of water, toss in a porta potty or something like that to get rid of it. But definitely poke a hole in the lid.
Okay, poke a hole in the lid. Okay, and get rid of it. Okay. But I just don't know. I don't know. Can you guys, do y'all see anything? Can you give me any direction on this? Because it's very stressful. Like, I really do love my husband, and I don't want that to end our marriage. And I think that our marriage came to like an abrupt in 2018 because he was missing his family. But then, you know what I mean? He was missing his family, so I just don't know what to do. I don't know if I should do some different additional work on his mom. If I should,
well,
I just don't know what.
This is what first came to my mind. There's actually, ironically enough, you may think I'm making this up, but you can fact check me on this. There's actually a plant that
Oh, Doc, you took it out of my head. Go ahead, take it home.
Well. This is you. Now you see how I feel. There's actually well, there are a number of plants. There's one I'm thinking of in particular. It's actually a plant that deals just with this, and so much so, some cultures call it the in-law plant, the mother-in-law plant. You can look it up. They're easy to find. I think one of the proper names for it is the also called lingua de vaca, right, or cow tongue, right. If you see it online, some people call it St. George's plant. If you Google it, you're like, oh, I know what that is. I just didn't know they called it that. Some people call it the tongue plant. You may hear it called the snake plant, etc., etc., etc. All of them lead to the same thing.
It's even called mother-in-law tongue. Yeah,
that's what it's called, mother-in-law's tongue. Well. That's it. Pick up that plant, all right, and what you want to do is replant it, okay. You want to put her picture, all right, at the bottom of that new pot, okay. Add some of your first morning urine to that, all right. Repot that plant there, all right. Have it somewhere by the front door. Now, hear me very, very carefully, all right. You can water it, if it starts getting used to the pot. But here's where it's really gonna begin to pick up. Get your husband to water it. Get him to water it. All right. It's a trick. All right. We used to be, working tricky here. And by doing that, now you begin to invite him to work on the situation as well. So not only are you working to disperse any kind of gossip, rumor, conjecture, innuendo, whatever that's breaking up your marriage, but now also he's involved now, actively. Of course, it'll be without his knowledge, but actively working to keep that mother-in-law tongue in check.
Okay.
Moses, so what you got?
Plant, just water the plant.
I really, really like that working, Doc. I do have. Man, I have a recipe. I'm digging through my recipes here, because I had a recipe that I called it Mama's Boy recipe, but
I got one of them too. But
it was for a situation like this. And let me see. Actually, now that I remember that I called it that, I might be able to pull it up a little quicker. but yes, I had a recipe that I'm going to dig up. So give me just a moment here, Doc. I'm
Sure,
going to dig
but
through my recipes here.
to her point, yes. So it's a quite simple work, and you're going to uh, all you really need is to get that plant, all right, and a picture of your mother-in-law, okay.
Okay.
And you're going to prepare that picture with her name on the back of it, her birth date if you have it. If you know her mother's name, wonderful. If you know her by her maiden name, wonderful. You just want to begin to create a link, okay, between that picture and her. All right. Once you've done that, you're going to put the picture face up, all right, uh, in your new pot, all right, and you're going to put your first morning urine, all right, over her picture, all right. If you know if your husband's away at work or whatever, you want to take an action in the bathroom and piss right on it, be my guest, okay. Uh, then you're gonna repot that plant, okay. By that I mean whatever you bought it in, you're gonna take it out of that and then put in this new pot you just fixed. Right, put that somewhere by the front door, preferably, or an area that's not going to be very conspicuous. Okay, like having on top of the TV, for example. Like, what the hell is that? But the idea is that kind of get him cozy up to it. By that I mean, you water it a couple of weeks into it, so it doesn't look strange. But eventually, the goal is to have him start watering it. So when you're away, all right, make it your business. When you call him, he's at home. Say, honey, do you mind watering? Don't forget to water that plant. On your way out the door to work, make sure you water that plant.
Okay.
All right.
But we're not even, me and her not even speaking. That's going to get us to start speaking or speaking terms because we don't even speak.
You and who?
Me and my mother-in-law.
Right, because she doesn't like you, right?
No, she don't like me.
Right.
I mean, I don't like her either, but I'm willing to have a relationship.
So this is what you can do. You can do that very same working, and of course you can combine with that a sweetening work, right? Like we kind of mentioned earlier on in the previous call here, to sweeten up that relationship, all right. But in the same time, you don't want to get it sweet again, and she's still, it's causing all kinds of contention, right? You don't want to have a nice, nasty kind of situation. That's why you want to work first to get that tongue under control. Okay. And then once we've got that set up, all right, almost as a condition for re-entry, right? Once you get your tongue underway, now you can begin to be amicable. Now you can begin to get sweet again.
I follow you. Okay.
I agree with that. I agree with it's the same principle again as in that last case, especially when we're doing jar work. When we're doing jar work, and I appreciate this opportunity to jump up on here, Cos, because I got to teach a class on this on Friday, and I haven't practiced yet. But when we're doing any container work, bag work, jar work, whatever, it's important to know that it's important to remember that we're putting the spirit to work in that jar. That situation comes to play in the fact that if we put two different spirits to work, that is, we have two jars working, and they're working against each other in terms of their purpose, or they're each going to pursue their purpose, and if they have to cross each other's paths or disrupt each other in some way or another, they're not going to mind that too much. So especially with container spells, be careful you don't have two going at the same time like that.
Okay.
Very, very good.
And I would say that in any case where you're putting, if you're putting spirits to work and they're working against each other, it's just like having two employees that are working against each other.
Yeah, they're gonna end up neutralizing each other, or both separate issues are going to be disrupted.
Right. They're not going to work cooperatively.
Mm-hmm.
There are ways to do that. We're not going to do that right now.
No.
But yes, there are ways to do that.
Wonderful. This has been an incredible show. Moses, you have definitely made it what it was. The guest we had on in the chat, definitely made it what it was. And we got to do this. We got to do this again. We have to do this again, man. Um,
Doc, we can definitely do it again. That's not a problem. Man, I am trying to find this recipe still, and I have not found it yet. So we have to do it again when I find this recipe.
you find the
At minimum,
recipe,
we need to get the
okay?
recipe. Yeah.
Well, wonderful. Well, we went a little bit over here. Really compensated, really kind of all even itself out. But Moses, let the people know they can find you, what you've got going on, where they can look for you. What do you have up under your sleeve? What do we need to be made abreast about when it comes to Hoodoo Moses?
Ooh, those are great questions, Doc. Well, obviously, hoodoomoses.com does not get updated frequently, but that's my basic, placeholder on the web. My Instagram at Hoodoo Moses is where you can find the most of what I got going on. Please holler at me there if you have any questions personally to the show today, or really anything you come across. What I got going on is a bunch of classes going on in person, and what we're doing a little different this time is I just bought myself one of those collar microphones, a nice high quality microphone. So I will be recording the classes in hopefully much better audio quality, and those will all be going on my Patreon, and that's at patreon.com/Hoodoo Moses. I just sent out a batch of stickers to all my patrons that we finally got made. We have a bunch of different tiers. Some of them include monthly readings, monthly lessons, things like that, for people who really love the material and want to get closer to it. But you can just check it out. It's a bunch of classes, and all the classes I'll be teaching in person will get recorded, and at least the audio of them posted to the Patreon. So you won't necessarily get the full experience, but certainly a lot of good information to be picked up. Also, just reach out to me on Instagram. That's where I am basically posted up most of the time doing readings. Still some availability for readings. Workings, still a little availability for workings. Exciting things I'm cooking up right now, Doc. As you know, I'm working on a manuscript covering spiritual medicine.
Oh man, we gotta talk about that before the end of the season, man. We gotta talk about that.
Yeah, that's really my side. Well, that's what I'm working on today, or this time of the year. I will maybe shift gears to making some more oils and stuff soon, but that's what I'm focused on. Trying to. You got me inspired to document and transmit some of these received transmissions.
Well, thank you, and it's mutual. I definitely have to say that uh, I unashamedly say that Hoodoo Moses is a part of my mastermind team, right? So I'm not going to bring people up on my platform. I'm going to bring people here that I don't know, that I can't vouch for, that I can't endorse and stand behind. Uh, he's is another great brother. Guys, go out and support him. Like I said, if you just follow him on Instagram, it doesn't cost you anything to give a follow, right? If you guys want to follow me, also on Instagram at Cosmic KHOZMIQ. You can find me on my Facebook group at Hoodoo Bible Study. Moses is actually also there as well, so you can check him out in there as well. I am on YouTube, obviously, at the Conjure Chronicles, but find me online cosmic.com, KHOZMIQ. If you click the resource tab, not all of them, but there is a lot of digital content there, lessons, techniques, demonstrations, webinars, seminars, workshops, live footage. You can check out, and we have a sale going on for not just 10 or 15, but 30% off all of that wonderful digital goodness. Just put in the coupon code fall 2019, FALL 2019, and you'll get 30% off the products there. Lastly, what I've got going on is this is also thanks to Hoodoo Moses. He's convinced me to get on Patreon, so I've also done that. Um, I'm building a master class there. If you want to learn, if you want my digital, my online grimoire, my book of secrets, my receipt book, it will be posted for your viewing pleasure on Patreon. Again, you can go on my website, cosmic.com, and click the masterclass link and sign right on up. So that's what we've got going on, folks. Again, we'll be back here next Sunday, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Why don't you tell somebody? It's getting good in here, you know. Some of y'all got some demonized friends. Don't tell them I said it, but give them a free ticket. Okay, so hey, you need to be in here. All right, tell Lottie, tell Dottie, tell everybody that they need to be here. They're on silver $7. We'll catch you guys next time. In the meantime, in between time, God bless you all forever and good night. Woo! Tell Lottie, tell Dottie, tell everybody.